Right. Welcome back here as we're talking about how to restore trust with your spouse. And specifically in this video training, Mark is going to come on here in just a second and talk about how to open up communication with your spouse after trust has been broken. Oftentimes they're reluctant to talking, there's tension or resistance or coldness. And so he's going to give you some solutions that you can apply right now to your marriage in our trust restoration method so that you can open up that communication with your spouse. Now, this is just going to be a little sneak peek that Mark's going to give you because there's really only so much that we can cover in a short amount of time here. But we want you to know that we're going to go much deeper into this in our marriage workshop that we're doing here, January 2020, in our trust restoration workshop. Now, in the last video, I shared with you a little bit about what the workshop is and the incredible, never before have we ever done this. We're offering the 1-month group coaching bonus for those that complete the workshop. And so I'm going to share a little bit more with you today about what that looks like. Yesterday, I gave you a little bit of an overview, and then today we're going to go a little bit deeper into that. So the High Thrive Marriage Workshop is our premium hands-on workshop designed to resolve challenges quickly with your spouse so you can have the happy marriage you want, even if they're currently checked out or wanting a divorce, and especially if you're really working to restore trust in your marriage. This workshop is not our coaching program. Our coaching program is about 14 weeks, give or take, depending on that. But this is like a jump start where you get a one-on-one intensive workshop session with Mark Johnston himself. It's a 2-hour one-on-one session to get your marriage going in the right direction. Plus, you're going to get access to the workshop, step-by-step training videos and exercises. Now, as I mentioned yesterday, we're doing something we've never done before, that after you complete the workshop, you'll have access to our 1-month coaching program as a bonus, as our way of saying, congratulations, you completed the workshop, good job, let's keep the momentum going. And we're going to gift you 1-month coaching program. And in that, you're going to get 3 bonus one-on-one coaching calls. Last time I explained the first one, which is our open communication call, which is going to be super powerful after going through this little video training here with Mark in just a bit about how to open up that communication, remove those barriers, have meaningful conversations. It's really important that you meet with a coach and they will help assess where your communication level currently is and create a roadmap with you that will help your spouse open up and actually want to talk with you. How good would that feel, right? That your spouse actually wants to talk with you now. It's going to be awesome. So that's what we do in the first call. Now I'm going to go a little bit into what the next 2 calls entail. In a second call that you get as a bonus for completing the workshop this month, you're going to get the root issue solutions call. And in this call, you will understand why your spouse is doing and saying what they are at the root level so that you can solve problems for good. Here at High Thrive Coaching, we never want to focus on the symptoms. We always want to get to that root level. And if you're asking yourself, like, why are they doing this? Why did they break my trust? Why did I break their trust, right? Whatever the situation might be for you. This is going to help you understand what's really going on there. And when we get to the root level, then we actually solve problems for good. So in this call, in this session, your coach will guide you on how to understand your spouse and help them want to work with you as a team. You'll be given step-by-step actions to solve your unique challenges and ensure you progress with your spouse. Again, we're not going to give you a cookie cutter approach to saving your marriage. And this is radically different than traditional therapy or counseling or anything you've tried before. We're going to give you that step-by-step action plan so that you are progressing quickly with your spouse. In the third call, we call it our restoration and healing call. Here, your coach will review your progress. Again, accountability is so crucial to making progress, right? And determine what blocks may still be coming up for you and your spouse, removing any remaining obstacles to your success. You will learn how to stop the damage and heal so that you both want to work on having a happy marriage going forward. So in addition to the 3 one-on-one coaching calls that you get as a bonus, completely free for completing the workshop, you're going to get 5 weekly group calls each week. Here at High Thrive Coaching, we meet 5 times a week with our clients in a small, intimate group setting. And that gives you direct access to a coach throughout the week so that if any challenges come up, you have immediate solutions. You have immediate help. You're not left wondering, what do I do or how do I handle this? You're going to know exactly what to do and how to handle it. The value for this 1-month coaching program is $2,500 alone. But you're going to get that as our gift to you for completing the marriage workshop. Again, we've never done this before, and it's going to be incredibly valuable for you. But again, warning, space is limited to 12 students so that we can deliver the best value possible and make sure that we give you the time and attention that you need. So if you are wanting to make sure that you don't miss out, then click below to be notified when we open the workshop on January 20th. You'll get on a special email list and we will let you know first when doors are open. We always fill up very quickly. This marriage workshop this month is going to be incredible. Plus, you're going to get that 1 month of coaching bonus worth over $2,500. Now, I know you probably have some more questions, so I will answer those in the next video training about how much it is, when it starts, how it actually works. So make sure you don't miss out on all of that. But for now, let's turn the time over to Mark Johnston, who's going to share with you how to open up communication after trust has been broken so that you can heal and move forward.
Hello, everyone. Mark Johnston here with High Thrive Coaching. So getting prepared for our trust workshop, we asked all of you to ask us some questions. And these videos here are to answer some of those questions just with a little bit of the piece of the bigger picture here. Now, of course, rebuilding trust is a complicated matter. And what we're doing is just offering one tip of many things that can be done to solve some of these problems. Of course, we want to get much more in depth in all of this within the workshop. So the question I wanted to answer in this video was, how do I open up communication so trust can be restored when they're closed off? Like I said, much with any of the topics within the trust workshop, this is a complicated matter, and it's not just going to be one simple step. But I do want to talk a little bit about what's going on here so that you can understand a little bit better how you could actually get further with communication. So this sort of question, in my mind is coming from, it sounds like it's coming from a place where the person asking is the one who has betrayed the trust and the other person has been hurt. There are some circumstances here where maybe your partner is the one who has betrayed you. They have been involved in infidelity or something, and still they're the ones that are closed off and not talking. But whatever the case may be, whether you are the one who has broken trust and are the one hurting your partner, or whether you are the one that has been hurt, if your partner is closed off, it might not seem like it, but they're sending a very clear message that they themselves do not feel heard, validated, or safe enough to talk. And this is an important piece to discuss right here, because before you get into any exercises, any interventions, any steps to open up communication, you have to realize this thing. Even if you are the one that's been hurt, if they are not talking to you, then they do not feel heard, validated, or safe enough to talk, which means that there's probably things that you need to do to adjust your communication, to make your communication much more open. So it could be that there's been repeated breaks in trust, repeated offenses, and they're not talking to you. Well, what is that saying? It says that they, through those repeated offenses, that they feel like you are not listening to them, that you do not respect them enough, and that's why you keep doing this. Let's pretend that this is a situation where your partner just normally, when things get difficult, they get closed off. Well, what is that saying? It says that they do not feel comfortable enough to talk. I mean, I could go through, all these scenarios, just variations of the same thing, but it all comes down to those three things there. They don't feel heard or validated or safe enough to talk. And even if you yourself are hurt, even if you are mad and you have justification to say, well, they shouldn't feel that way, it doesn't change the fact that they don't feel heard or validated or safe enough to talk. And you can't, since you're the one watching this video, you need to do some things to change it, change those circumstances. So some things that we can do here. I want to talk about that today a little bit. I think first and foremost, I think it's very important to acknowledge the gravity of the situation. And I want you to think about this. If there is a big elephant in the room, if there's been a big offense, and your partner's not talking to you, well, if they're not feeling validated or heard here, I think it's very important for you to acknowledge how serious this is. Tell them how much you understand. Tell them why this would be so serious to them and to you. This would be, just a small step towards helping them to feel that validation, as though, their silence almost is getting across to you. In many cases, this sort of silence, especially if it's like an angry silence, these sort of things, there are ways, unconscious actions that people take to help communicate their feelings. When they start to say to themselves, okay, other means of communicating my feelings, like talking or crying or raising my voice, when that isn't working, I need to escalate the situation in another way. I need to increase the intensity in some other way in order to communicate how I feel. And this is exactly what that is. And by you acknowledging the seriousness of the situation, it helps to dial that down a little bit. It counteracts that sort of underlying need to escalate this, to communicate feelings better. You're basically calling out, a portion of how they are feeling. Which gets me into another part of this, is identifying the feelings that they are probably experiencing. If you can say, I can see how serious this is, where you're acknowledging the gravity of the situation. And then you can talk about a feeling for a moment. Say, I can see how serious this is, and I can see how upset you are. I can see how sad this is for you. I can see how uncomfortable this is for you. You're further providing more validation. And especially if you are accompanying those identified feelings with acceptance, as in you're finding a reasonable way that they could have come to those feelings, you are going really far into this, such that you're probably, in many, many cases, this by itself could open up quite a bit of communication. Especially that last bit, that acceptance. If you're saying, you know what, I can see how serious this is. I can see how upset you are. And you know what, I get it. It's okay. I understand why you're so upset. You probably got this upset because of this, this, and this. Because I offended you so much in front of your parents, or whatever it may be. You are, by finding those reasonable explanations for those feelings, providing that validation, providing that understanding. And you're accepting enough of those feelings that it makes it safer to continue that discussion of those feelings. This is all coming back to that same principle. If they are closed off with communication, especially when trust has been broken, closed off because they don't feel heard or validated or safe enough to talk. So if you can remedy those needs, those problems, those concerns with all this, you are most of the way there actually to opening up this conversation quite a bit. And where you go with that conversation is an entirely different matter. And I would love to give you more tips and more things to do in these situations within the workshop. I'm sure all of you would love to be able to sit down with your spouse and really clear the air to make it so that there isn't that heavy tension because things are being left unsaid. There isn't that awkward silence as you try to go about your business, even though you know that there's something festering underneath. But you really want to be able to clear all that away so that you can actually sit next to your spouse, even if it's just to watch TV or even if it's just to share a meal. I know you all want more than that, but some of you even want just that for right now. And that's what we're going to be working on in the workshop. So with all that said, I hope to see you all inside, and yeah, we'll cover lots more in the workshop.